Hello, welcome to our series of interviews with European officials and MEPs going up to the European elections and maybe even after them. Our guest today is Mr. Javi Lopez.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
From the Spanish Socialist Party, but he's Catalan, he's from Barcelona, and maybe we will talk a little about the drive to independence in Catalonia. If you are for it or against it, I understand the public opinion is very divided in Spain. But first, let's talk about the Middle East, because you are a member in the Subcommittee on Security and Defense and a substitute in the Committee for Foreign Affairs. And recently, the Parliament held a series of reunions about the situation in the Middle East, the conflict between Hamas and Israel, and the Red Sea. So what is the position of the socialists on this, given that Europe has still no military forces to send in the region?
Yeah, well, first of all, a clear condemnation of the attacks made by Hamas in Israel
on the 7th of October.
On the 7th of October, with hundreds of deaths and kills and atrocities. And
so you agree with the position of the President of the Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, who went immediately to Israel and supported Israel vocally in public, saying that Israel has a right to self-defense, but she didn't say anything about the Palestinians.
No, we were really critical about this visit, to be honest, because it was the moment and the point to underline that the answer of the Israeli authorities had to be completely in line with international law. And this is not what we saw in Gaza. In Gaza, we have now 25,000 deaths, civilians, that they are not
most
of them that they are not responsible of the atrocities made by Hamas. We have a clear forced displacement of millions of people, with a unclear strategy after the invasion made by Israel, and then we call for immediate ceasefire on the ground. And we trying to say again and again that we have to stop this circle of violence and vengeance, because to be honest, Israel has the right to defend itself, but not has the right to vengeance.
But you wouldn't agree with the formula genocide? Would you say it's justified or excessive?
I would say that it has been the courts and the international courts who talk about this kind of legal terms. But I'm sure that what is going on the ground now, it's out of the international humanitarian law and international law. And it's a disproportionate answer. And you cannot do a collective punishment, and this is what it seems that is going on. I understand the security concerns that Israel has, and we have to understand it, but at the same time, we have to be honest with them. What is happening in Gaza will not provide more security to Israel, and will be generations and generations of hate. And the reason it's what is going on now.
How about the situation in Ukraine? Is your party in favor of continuing the military support to Ukraine?
Oh, completely, absolutely.
Completely.
We think in Ukraine it's the values of Europe that are at the stake. And not only this, is our view of the world that it has to be based on international law. Well, the European integration, it was made under two basic ideas. We decided to don't paint borders again using the force, after centuries painting borders using the force and repainting borders using the force. And secondly, when we have a dispute or a political conflict, we have a table and we talk and cooperate. We don't use the force to fix problems. And exactly these two main ideas are jeopardized by the invasion, the imperial invasion made by Putin in Ukraine. And then Ukraine has the right to defend itself, and they need our assistance. And this means a political assistance, diplomatic assistance, and help, military assistance, without doubt, and financial assistance. And we have to keep going on this track, especially now that we have, to be honest, doubts about what Washington will do in the future. Especially now, we have to be hard on that.
How about the slow pace of the delivery of the help? Because Europe promised 1 million shells last year, or more than 1 year ago, and it only delivered something like 300,000.
Yeah, we have to say to the administrations and the calls, we understand like the logistical problems, and it's not an easy task, but at the same time it has to be accelerated, provide military assistance on the ground, because a lot is at stake. No? These main ideas of how to organize Europe and the cooperation and the coexistence between national states that we learned from the past, and we suddenly show again in European soil.
How about the pace of the extension of Europe, expansion? You have enlargement. You have Ukraine and Moldova accepted as future members. Is it realistic?
It is realistic. It is a path to arrive there, obviously, and it's not an easy or a fast path. But this decision was made in December during the last weeks of the Spanish presidency. And as a Spanish, I will say that I'm proud that during the Spanish presidency of the Council of the European Union, it was the first step done by Moldova and Ukraine to join the European Union. Okay, the EU is a club with rules, and it's not easy to arrive and achieve the Copenhagen criteria, that it's like institutional stability, rule of law, financial and economic stability, and obviously these countries will need time to arrive there. Also, they will need help to arrive there, and they deserve it. But I'm sure that geopolitically, the invasion will push the enlargement in the West Balkans and obviously in Ukraine and Moldova.
How do you cooperate with the Romanian socialists? I remember that 12 years ago, there was a parliamentary putsch in Romania, a failed one against the government at that time, against the President Băsescu. And some Spanish socialists were very critical against the Romanian colleagues because they were leading this parliamentary putsch towards against the president. How do you cooperate with the present Romanian delegation? Do you think they are fit? They are socialists?
Yeah, they are part of our political family.
The prime socialist. Yeah, Mr. Ciolacu, for instance, the chief of the party, he's very criticized in Romania because that doesn't speak foreign languages.
I had meetings with him.
Really?
Really, I had a meeting with no, with translation. But to be honest, the head of the opposition in Spain, coming from the Popular Party, he doesn't speak English or neither French or any language. And even the former Prime Minister of Spain, Mariano Rajoy, he didn't speak languages. EPP, he didn't speak language. Our Prime Minister, yes, he does.
Well, even François Mitterrand didn't speak any foreign language.
Like, I think this is not the point. Like, but our meetings together, it's a signal that we can have meetings together. I saw meetings with Pedro Sánchez, with the leader of our group here in the European Parliament. I saw meetings, in bilateral meetings of your Prime Minister, the Prime Minister of Romania, with Olaf Scholz, like in the socialist gatherings that we have. Yeah. We respect their party and their policies,
but do you share the same values? Because the socialists in Romania are very ambiguous. For instance, towards the LGBT community, because in Romania you have this very conservative, patriarchal atmosphere, and socialists, Western socialists, are seen like a party of the LGBT, and people don't understand the insistence on this topic.
Well, we have to explain it why, and I think it's part of the core of our values. It's not the LGBT, like what it's part of the core of our values is tolerance and respect, and that love means love anyway you are loving. And this is part of our core of the values, and I see here in the European Parliament that we defend this. for us it's extremely important, like gender equality, the respect of the diversity and sexual orientation. It's part of our diversity in the society. Tolerance it's the main son of the enlightening, and we have to push for it.
You are also a member of the Committee on Environment, Public Health and Food Safety, because every MEP has to be in some committees and subcommittees. And I know that next week you have on the agenda for discussing in the plenary a strange topic. It's plants obtained by genomic techniques and their food and the effect on the population. What is this?
Well, we are discussing new genomic techniques that could be applied, especially to agriculture. We have some concerns about this, but at the same time, my position and our position is we can apply this if could help our food security, if it's protected the health of our citizens. Here in Brussels, we regulate a lot of new technology applied to all of the dimensions, also applied to agriculture. On this, we have to be comprehensible of the potential use of these new techniques, but at the same time, always with the limit and on the limit of the health of our citizens.
So you are in favor of prohibiting the use of some substances or like hormones for meat until the scientists check on the effect on the human body?
In the case that it's not tested, it has to be tested. It's not this case because genomic techniques are different, but we have a lot of discussions on this field.
But then what do you answer to the farmers who demonstrate all across Europe and who argue that the Green Deal that you support so much in the Parliament imposes such strict rules on the farmers, including a lot of paperwork, that they cannot compete with food imported from countries that do not apply such strict rules? Well, do they have a point?
Well, they have we have to listen always to everybody, and everybody has a point, even because if maybe it's a feeling, no, and we have to listen it. But at the same time, we have to underline our regulation and our standards applied to agriculture are based on the idea to protect citizens, especially to protect the health of our citizens. Secondly, the EU, it's true that could have a lot of papers, as you mentioned, no? But at the same time, have a lot of resources to the agriculture economy. The 45% of all the budget of the European Union goes to agriculture.
And it was always like that from the beginning.
From the beginning, decades and decades of payings and transfers with the idea of that we have to protect our countryside. They have an important role to protect our biodiversity and our territory. It's true, but at the same time, they have to accompany the changes and the transformation that we are doing, that it's decarbonized, that it's having a cleaner air, that it's decarbonize our economies and having a more healthier environment. This is a common challenge, and we have to do it together. We have to listen to each other. Of course. And at the same time, to enter to the European market, you have to apply the same rules that the producers in the European market. This is technically like that.
And in Spain, where the local authorities have a lot of autonomy, it's practically the model of a federal country in a way.
Yeah.
Like Germany with the Länder. Is there a difference between Catalonia and other regions in what concerns agriculture and paperwork and
well, we have territories with more agriculture. In the case of Catalonia, for example, it's really important. And then also we have different competence and powers or self-government in the different communities, autonomous communities that we mentioned. No? We have the historical nationalities that it's mentioned technically in the Spanish Constitution, and that is the Basque Country and Galicia and Catalonia, and also it was Andalusia, that they have a reinforced autonomy. But we have, in agriculture, a lot of powers.
You yourself are a Catalan,
Yeah.
although you were born in Madrid, I understand.
Yeah.
Are you in favor of the independence of Catalonia?
No, I'm not in favor of the independence
Why
of
not?
Catalonia. Because to face the problems of the 21st century, I don't think that create new borders is the solution. Never. We saw it with Brexit. We saw it with all the nativist right-wing that we have in Europe and abroad. I think society that it's plural, like the Catalan society, that the majority, we feel proud Catalans and proud Spanish and proud European. We don't have to choose. We can have a state that is a Spanish state, recognition his diversity as a strength, as a good thing, as an asset for the country, and also to be part of Europe. I don't think that create borders is the solution, and also I think that create borders divide our societies inside. And this is something that happened in Catalonia during the last 10 years with a massive failure, because it was clear that it was not possible to move on this direction. And now I'm happy that the Spanish government is moving in the right track, that it's like the recognition of the diversity, dialogue with everybody, with the diversity of our country.
Do you meet in the parliament with the chief of the independentists, with Mr. Puigdemont? He's married with a Romanian citizen.
Yeah, I know. Yes, in the corridors here, like, of course, and with members of his party. Like I have good friends that obviously, in other parties, and like also in the pro-independence. I think it's not the correct answer to the problems that we have, but we have to join a common country with the people that think different than ourselves, no?
And the last topic would be about the upcoming elections. In slightly more than 4 months, we will have European elections, and many commentators predict a surge of the far-right parties. Do you agree with that? Are you afraid that the far-right and the Eurosceptics will take more than, some people say, almost 1/3 of the total votes, the total seats in the parliament?
Yeah, it's possible that they will could be able to take 200, 250.
Out of 700?
Out of 700. This is something that could happen in the elections. And the main problem is not only this, the number of seats that in itself, obviously, it's a problem. The far right,
will they be homogeneous? Will they be one force?
No, they will be two forces, probably, it seems. Well, now they are two forces.
Pro-Russians and...
yeah, I think Russia and the geopolitics, like the international dimension, like pro-Atlantists or not, is the main division that they have. But we will see. I think that the main problem is not only the size of their, the volume of their results, that they are competing in 9 member states to win the next European elections, and in some really important ones, France, Italy, and so on.
Spain, Germany.
Yeah, in Spain, well, we have Vox, but competing to win the elections. Okay, like Vox is present even in our regional governments with the Popular Party.
Yes.
But I think the main problem is that we can have a new political stage in Europe with a cooperation between the Popular Party, the classic conservatives, and the far right. That this is something that we see now in Finland, in Sweden. We saw in the regional governments in Spain. We see in Italy. And this is the big change that we will decide. Because until now, we had, I will say, a healthy equilibrium, balance between the main political families, progressives, conservatives, liberals, and even Greens during the last years. Now we could change this to a new majority, that it's the far right with the conservatives cooperating together. And this is a huge risk and a huge threat to Europe and the values that we represent, and Europe that protects the rights of the citizens and protect the tolerance of our societies.
But you do not think that the future will be so black?
No, of course, no. I think this is a risk that we have. But at the same time, I think the majority of the Europeans, I don't have that doubt about this. They believe that Europe is helping. That I'm really satisfied about what Europe made the last 5 years. I think we had a Europe that works. that worked during the pandemics, that we have new package of investment, that we are
the Green Deal,
and now we have the enlargement on track, on the good track. I think we made the good assistance with the war on Ukraine. That's something that the Kremlin was never thought. Like, I'm satisfied with the Europe that we had during the last 5 years. We made things that it seems impossible 5 years ago. But at the same time, I think we have risks, and sometimes the biggest threats are not coming from outside, even are coming from inside. And we have to mobilize this majority in favor of to have Europe integrating, moving with unity, with the protection of our citizens.
Javi Lopez, I thank you.
Thank you very much.
I am Dan Alex. We spoke today with Javi Lopez, socialist MEP from Spain and Catalonia.